Hi, welcome back to yet another episode of our Travelogue series from Tripdayz India. My name is Benjamin and I'm going to give you a handful of information you should be knowing before you plan your trip to the Andaman Islands. Plus, I'll be giving you a glance of what we experienced in the islands. Andaman and Nicobar Islands is a cluster of islands located 1400 kilometers from the eastern coast of India in the Bay of Bengal. These cluster of islands are surrounded by rich marine wealth, coral reefs, tropical forest, long sandy shallow beaches, and towards the north of the island is an active volcano, which is the only live volcano in Southeast Asia. The island was initially occupied by Aborigines, and during the colonization era it was first occupied by the Dutch and later by the British, which eventually became part of British India. Later there was a Japanese invasion during the Second World War, which did not last long. Visitors are permitted only to the Andaman Islands and entry is restricted to the Nicobar Islands. Andaman Islands could be reached by air and sea. There are ships from Chennai and Kolkata which would take a sail of almost 48 hours. By air, there are flights operated by major airlines from Chennai and Kolkata. Flights are operated only from the mainland and would take an approximate of 2.5 hours. The airport is at Port Blair, the capital of Andaman and Nicobar Islands. It would be an ideal place for honeymooners, families, and people who are looking for water sports, adventure, and solace. Scuba diving, sea walks, deep sea fishing, canoeing, snorkeling are some of the popular activities available here. There are enough and more activities to keep you engaged for a week in this island territory. We boarded a flight from Chennai and after a 2.5 hours of flight, we arrived at Port Blair. And the first place we visited was the cellular jail, otherwise known as Kala Pani, which means the water of death. The prison was used by the British, especially to exile political prisoners to these remote islands. The building had 7 wings, at the center of which a tower served as an intersection and was used by guards to keep watch on the inmates. Today, the complex serves as a national memorial monument and a museum. For me, it was quite a depressing moment getting to know all the torture the inmates underwent. Our plan for the next day was to head to the Havelock Island. The major islands you can visit are the Havelock Island, Neil Island, Ross Island, and the Viper Island. There are full-day island hopping excursions available from Port Blair. We reached Havelock after 1.5 hours of cruise. There are air-conditioned luxury liners available like the Mark Cruise and the Coastal Cruise operating between Port Blair, Havelock, and the Neil Islands. Havelock is one of the most popular destinations within the Andaman Islands. You should not miss to stay here at least for 3 nights during your trip. We headed to our resort of stay and en route we could find a lot of resorts on the seaside of different scales and categories. You get scooters and motorcycles for hire, which is not very expensive and makes your conveyance very easy. Our plan was to head to the Radhanagar beach, which is around 11 kilometers away from the Havelock jetty. The beach is one of the finest beaches in Asia. The water is so clear and shallow, where you can move a lot into the sea. The shores are filled with large virgin rainforest and makes it a beautiful green shore. This is one beach where you can literally swim in the sea. It's an ideal place for sunbathing and evenings are amazingly golden hours. The swimming elephant Rajan, which you can see in Andaman advertisements, was from here. He no longer swims. He's retired. There are some elephant joy rides available at the beach. It was time for some scuba dives. It was Dive Andamans who helped us to do the DST exercise. DST is basically Discover Scuba Diving. These guys are really good and there were no hurry burries. After quick documentation work and some basic orientation, we were ready for the dive. The important criteria is that you should be physically fit to do a DST. We had a 15-minute practical training and half an hour under the water enjoying the underwater beauty of Andamans. Other interesting activities include snorkeling, sea walk, kayaking through the mangroves, glass bottom boat ride and a lot more. It is all left to you to come here, explore and experience it for yourself. After a couple of days in Havelock, it is time for us to bid farewell to Andamans. We had booked morning tickets in a government ferry to Port Blair. Unlike the luxury ferries, the government ferries are mostly intended for islanders and are very much basic and takes more time to reach Port Blair. It took us 2.5 hours to reach Port Blair, from where we boarded the flight back to Chennai. We had an amazing experience in Andamans, one of the finest beach destinations in Asia. If you like this video, please do share it with your friends and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.